Okay, Bio 2, we are continuing on with roots. Remember, this is section 2, and this is part 2. So the first thing we're going to look at in the second half of this section are what are the different functions of roots. And so the first function is roots anchor a plant to the ground and they absorb water and dissolve nutrients from the soil. So that's probably the most basic and probably the most simple definition that we all know. They anchor a plant to the ground and they absorb water and dissolve nutrients from the soil. So we're going to take a look today towards the end of this video how they actually absorb water and dissolve materials from the soil. But just for now, know that that is their main function. And then, wrong way. And then the uptake of plant nutrients to grow and flower and produce seeds. Plants need a variety of inorganic nutrients in addition to carbon dioxide and water. So carbon dioxide and water are the main components of photosynthesis. However, they need other things to grow too. So these main nutrients that they need are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. So those are all very important in plant growth. So keep those in mind, and there we go. So active transport of minerals. So another function of the root is to actually actively transport minerals into the root. So the cell membrane of the root hairs and other cells in the root epidermis contain active transport proteins. So remember, active transport is where an energy is required to move things from an area of low concentration to an area of high concentration. And I don't know how that got up there, but I will move that down. So transport proteins use ATP to pump mineral ions from the soil into the plant. So these proteins that are on our root hairs actively pump mineral ions from the soil into the plant. So then the next step is, after that happens, the high concentration of mineral ions in the plant cell causes water molecules to move into the plant by osmosis. So it's kind of a joint effect here. Because there's more minerals inside, there's less water, so then the water just flows right in. So that's initially how minerals and water get into the root. So after they get into the root, they have to move into the vascular cylinder, or our xylem and phloem. And osmosis and active transport move the water and minerals from the root epidermis into the cortex. So that is, the next step is, after they get inside the root, they move by, again, osmosis and active transport to the cortex. And then the water and dissolved minerals pass the inner boundary of the cortex and they enter the endodermis. So we went over our root structure last time. So this is just, again, how they're moving in, starting from the outside, getting to the inside, our vascular cylinder. So then our next one, so once they make it to the endodermis, it is composed of many individual cells. And then each cell is surrounded on four sides by a waterproof strip called the Casparian strip. So our endodermis has this strip that's waterproof that's called the Casparian strip. And it prevents the backflow of water out of the vascular cylinder into the root cortex. So simply, once we make it past the endodermis into the vascular cylinder, these Casparian strips are just going to keep all of our water and nutrients inside of the vascular cylinder so it doesn't run back out to the rest of the root. Then water moves into the vascular cylinder by osmosis. Because water and minerals cannot pass through the Casparian strip, once they pass through the endodermis, they are trapped in the vascular cylinder, and that is what I just said. And as a result, there is a one-way passage of materials into the vascular cylinder in plant roots. So they have almost like, again, a protective system to prevent the backflow of anything from getting in, or from getting where it's not supposed to be, from leaving the vascular cylinder. And our last bit here to wrap it up is something called root pressure. So this is how we're going to move water up into the rest of the plant. So as minerals are pumped into the vascular cylinder, more and more water follows by osmosis, producing a strong pressure. This root pressure forces water through the vascular cylinder into the xylem. So the water doesn't just move because it wants to, it's just there has to be enough built up in order to create this pressure that's going to push it through the vascular cylinder and into the xylem. And as more water moves from the cortex into the vascular cylinder, more water in the xylem is forced upward through the root into the stem. Again, that's just saying it's not just going to be able to travel like magic, it just has to have more water that pushes its way up. And root pressure is the starting point for the movement of water through the vascular system of the entire plant. So that starts down at the bottom with the roots. No water would be able to make it up if we didn't have this root pressure. So that is it. Let me know if you have any questions.